Hello, welcome back to my channel. Now I am in Ubud, one of the very famous tourist destinations in Bali. In this video, I'm going to talk about methods of translation. The difference between translation methods and translation procedure that I have explained in the previous video is that while translation method relates to the whole text and translation procedure is used for sentences and the smaller units of language. Methods of translations proposed by Newmark are visually described in a diagram V. And I would like to start with the discussion or the explanations about word-for-word translation. Word-for-word translation shows the use of source language word order is preserved. Right? The words are translated singly by their most common meaning. It is out of context, and Newmark stated that word-for-word translation has the characteristics, that is, to understand the mechanics of the source language, or to construe a difficult text as a pre-translation process. The clause in the analysis of interlanguages is the obvious example of this method, since it is done to give the equivalent. Alright. Literal translation. The second one is literal translation. Literal translation includes the conversions of source language grammatical constructions to their closest target language equivalents. Similar to word-for-word translation, the lexical words are again translated singly that may often out of context. I'll give you the example that it is taken from Dewi and Wijaya's book in 2020. My sister just pulling your legs. And the translations using literal translation is saudara saya hanya sedang menarik kaki. Okay, and of course the translation sounds very awkward. Yeah, that is the concept of the applications of literal translation concept based on Newmark. And the example I give is from English into Indonesian. Meanwhile, the third one is faithful translation. Faithful translation, this method is the kind of translation attempts to produce the precise contextual meaning of the original within the constraints of the target language grammatical structures. The examples is expressions like it's raining cats and dogs, and the translation is ada hujan deras sekali. So here the translator tries to be faithful to give the meanings for the expressions of it's raining cats and dogs into ada hujan deras sekali. So this example is taken from Dewi and Wijaya in their book. Number 4, the fourth one is semantic translation. This type of translation a little bit differs from faithful translation only when the translation must take more account of the aesthetic value of the source language text. As explained by Newmark, semantic translation can be clearly seen if the source language text contains many cultural terms. That is for example. And I can give you the examples like the translations of it's raining cats and dog is translated using semantic translation, and it becomes hujannya deras sekali. Okay, now I'm going to continue the explanations from the perspective of target language emphasis. In the previous course, translation methods, they refer to source language emphasis, and now is target language emphasis. Adaptation. Adaptation as a method of translation is considered the freest form of translation. This method is mainly reflected in the translation, for example, for plays like comedies and poetry. Okay, the themes, characters, plots are frequently preserved. Okay, and the next one, okay, is free translation. Free translation is a method that creates the translation version text without the style, form, or content of the original. And Newmark stated that this type of method is frequently a paraphrase, much longer than the original, so-called like intralingual translation. Considering the meaning or the definitions of free translation, journalism texts can be considered as examples for free translation. And the next translation method is idiomatic translations. Idiomatic translation results in the message of the original but tends to distort nuances of meaning by preferring colloquialisms and idioms. Okay, examples is like this. Still, the example is taken from the Wijaya's book, Killing Two Birds with One Stone. If it is translated idiomatically, then it becomes sekali mendayung, tiga pulau terlampau. They have, or the expressions have the same meaning. Okay, and examples like the next one, is communicative translation. As it is named, this method attempts to transfer the precise contextual meaning of the original in such a way. It is done to make both content and language acceptable and comprehensible to readers. Examples of communicative translations like keep off the grass in English is translated into dilarang menginjak rumput in Indonesia. Those 8 translation methods are considered as with their examples, are considered as the explanations from Newmark's methods of translations. And I hope by giving this explanation, so it is clear each of the methods of translation based on Newmark has specific characteristics. Thank you for watching this video. I hope my explanations is clear, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you, and see you again in my next video. Bye-bye.